Patrick, thanks for doing this. I think the first time we talked, it was after maybe four weeks, 4 games into the season. The sky was absolutely falling. The sky is not falling right now. Is it in such a place where you expect Matt Eberflus to be back in 2024?
I think I do. As we sit here right now, I think so. Now, there are a couple of caveats I'll give you. Number one, playing the Green Bay Packers. There's nobody walking the earth who cares more about that game than George McCaskey and his family. That has played a role in personnel decisions before, and it can always play a role. So if that goes terribly or if something remarkable happens there, I think that is a major wild card. The other thing is, the Bears need to learn how to finish. You've heard Ryan Poles talk about that on the pregame show all year. You've seen that kind of rear its ugly head in 3 different games where if they win just one of those, they're playing for a playoff spot this weekend. So if they blow a lead or if the game unfolds in a way that leads you to think that these finishing issues are far from solved, I think that could complicate the decision. But as we sit here today, I think the Bears are on an unquestionable upward trajectory, regardless of what they do in the draft. And I think a lot of that is because of the stability of Matt Eberflus and his ability to call plays. And, they believe they have a top 5 defense, and I think they're bringing one back next year, so long as Eberflus remains here.
How much do you think the decision at quarterback is linked to the decision with the head coach, if at all?
Well, it should be. In a perfect world, it should be. You look at what the Bears have done in the last 2 times they've drafted quarterback in the first round. They took Mitch Trubisky while John Fox was the head coach, and a year later Fox got fired. They took Justin Fields while Matt Nagy was the head coach, and a year later Matt Nagy got fired. Neither of those quarterbacks were the starting quarterbacks to begin the season, which is nutty when you think of the way it is done now in the NFL. Rookies taking that high play right away. The reason they didn't play right away in these 2 cases was because those coaches were, playing for their jobs. The Bears would run into that again if they took a quarterback number 1 overall. So you'd like to restart everything in a perfect world. But like I said, if you've got a top 5 defense, if you have somebody whose leadership you believe in here, if you have a team that you think can make the playoffs next year, if it keeps going in this direction, I think it might be too risky to just start over. Let's talk just real quick about Montez Sweat. The Bears gave him $98 million to play defensive end in a 4-3 system. Half the coaches out there don't play a 4-3. If you're starting over, you've now got to find an offensive guru to be a head coach and get in line, by the way, because that's what everybody's looking for. And then you've got to go find a defensive coordinator who plays a system that fits Montez Sweat, fits Jalen Johnson, fits these 2 linebackers that they paid Tremaine Edwards, the second highest paid player on the team. Those guys all fit really well right now. And they might not, if you change it out, the flip side of it is the formula in the NFL is you need a play caller who no one can steal from you by making them a head coach. And, that would be the argument for bringing in an offensive first head coach is if he's the play caller, no one can ever steal him for you. And then you grow with the quarterback together. That is the ideal, but I don't think we live in an ideal world. And I think there's a path where Matt Eberflus could stay in, the Bears draft a quarterback first overall. And that works out okay.
If Justin Fields is back next season, is that good news for Luke Getsy?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't think you can look at what they're doing now and say that it works completely. Works sometimes.
Yeah.
They scored 37 points 5 days ago, so it's hard to be too overly critical of it. But I doubt that all 3 of Eberflus, Fields, and Getsy will be back together. If they are, they will be surrounded by Marvin Harrison Jr. and more draft picks than you could count. And maybe that is the solution. But if I had to take a guess here, I still think they're drafting a quarterback.
I think we're all probably going to have to take a deep breath right after the Packers-Bears game.
You're telling me. Yeah.
Right. The game ends Sunday, and then by Monday morning, I think we want to know what's going to happen, or at least who's going to be under center. Help me understand the timeline a little bit about the decision-making. Ryan Poles is, Poles yet again is kind of driving this thing. They are on the clock. He's going to have a lot of phone calls to take regarding Justin Fields or how interested someone else may be in their favorite quarterback. Help me understand the dates a little bit of what we're looking at, because it ain't going to be Monday.
Well, the coaching stuff's going to be Monday, and I think that
correct, right?
Yeah, I think that's an important first step. You do that later in the week. We will hear from Ryan Poles. We will hear from Kevin Warren, and I think you will get a sense of what the messaging is there. At this time last year, Ryan Poles sat there and said, "I'd have to be blown away to take another quarterback," and then 6 weeks later, he traded the pick. I don't expect him to be as transparent this time around, because I think there's a balance there. I think that they've done a lot of homework on Drake May and Caleb Williams, but I think there's more to do. And I think that they want to see what the offers would be, not only for Justin Fields, but for the pick. Because if they decide to draft a quarterback, Justin Fields is going to get traded. It makes no sense to keep two of them. So they will have to balance all of these things. Now, last year, the Panthers paid a premium to know what they were getting into before free agency starts. I love that idea. I think that benefits everybody, including the sports writers, to know exactly what you need before it's time to go spend money on the free agent market. Now, does that mean the Bears could agree to trade Justin then? Then you have your shopping list, but you also know what you could end up with in the draft. Maybe you get a player back for Justin. Maybe that crosses out something that you need in the free agent market. I think that would make sense. But I think the better odds are that they carry Justin closer to the draft and make a decision. Once they know exactly what they want to do in the draft, then they pivot to that decision on Justin. I think he's probably worth a second-round pick. If he finishes great, maybe you could talk me into a 1. But let's say you're the Falcons, and they'd probably want to have some certainty on whether they're trading for Justin Fields before free agency starts, because then maybe they go add one of those journeyman guys. There aren't a lot of really good ones out there, but maybe that's where you get the premium. Maybe that's where if they end up with the 18th pick, maybe you get the 18th pick and you send them a 4th rounder back too, or something like that.
How much do you think the contract of Justin Fields weighs into this, heading into contract number 2? Listen, the Chiefs are happy to pay what they pay, right? Teams are happy to pay if they've got their guy. How much of this is just about the talent of the quarterback position, or how much of it do you think is resetting the contract, the rookie contract with the quarterback as well?
I think the Chiefs are happy to pay their guy. I'm not sure the Giants are happy to pay their guy.
That's a good point. I can confirm they're not happy.
Well, and I think that's the closer comp here. Somebody who is, you sit there and go, I don't know. I don't know whether he's going to be our guy for the next 10 years. But but let's see what we can do. Would they give him $60 million guaranteed, something like that?
Something like that. Yeah, too much.
Too much. And him getting hurt, you don't want to ding him for getting hurt. But I don't think anybody, even at the end of last year, sat there and went, "Oh, he is the answer for sure." And that's where this gets complicated with Justin. He's got the 4th year of his rookie deal coming up. They have to decide by May 8th whether or not to pick up his 5th year option for the following year. And so that's a pretty reasonable 2-year contract if they want to do it. But then if he's as good as you think he is, you probably don't let him get to that 5th year. You probably have to pay him next offseason. And all of a sudden, you've got a year to decide how much money you want to pay this guy. If you go with Caleb Williams is going to be cheap for 4 years, 5 years. And that would allow you to spend money elsewhere in free agency to help. Now, the Bears don't have a salary problem at all. They probably have more money than they know what to spend. But the odds of Caleb being worth his contract, I think, are much, much better than Justin being worth the one he's on now, and definitely better than the one that he'd end up getting. Because like you said, the market is such that you don't have to be a sure thing to get a lot of money. And I don't think Justin's a sure thing. And I'm damn sure he'll be expecting a lot of money when that time comes, because Daniel Jones can get it. Why shouldn't Justin get it?
There is a lot on the line Sunday, specifically for the Packers, but we know Bears-Packers, always a lot on the line. How are you feeling about that game?
I think the Bears are going to win.
You do?
And yeah. By the way, and not to brag, I am 13-3 picking winners.
Wow.
Yeah, not against the spread, so it's a low bar. But
there goes my 401k.
I think they're playing really well, and I think that the lasting memory we have of the Packers is watching on New Year's Eve, if you were home in front of a television like I was, and I think the Vikings were pretty bad. I think that beating up on a rookie quarterback is not indicative of what their defense can do in a full, in a game against an offense that knows what it's doing. I think the Bears defense is probably going to give up somewhere between 14 and 20 points. And then it'll be up to Justin to see if he can score 21. The Packers play this zone scheme that's 11 eyes are going to be on Justin the whole time. That is the scheme you want to play against Justin. You do not want to play man and turn your back to him because he'll beat you. So he's going to have to be patient. He's going to have to be accurate. He's going to have to make the right throw on time. And those are the things that we've wondered about him for 3 years now. So it's a challenge for him, but I think the defense is playing good enough that the offense can probably get by scoring 3 touchdowns and hope for the best. The Bears haven't won up there since 2014 when Jake Cutler was the quarterback, I want to say. So that would be quite the accomplishment to end the season. I know the Bears don't have a lot to play for, but in terms of this rivalry, in terms of what it means with Aaron Rodgers gone and with Jordan Love kicking their ever-loving butts in week 1, being able to win that game, I think would do a lot for the mood of the building here.
It'll mean a lot for Justin Fields' value. The question is that value for the Bears or is it potentially for someone else?
Well, that's true, but this is, and I was talking to somebody about this the other day. I hesitate to say this as positively as it's going to sound, but it's true. The Bears have no bad decisions here. I mean, it's the difference between something really good and great. I mean, if you keep Justin, you can trade, you can move down 1 spot and probably get 3 firsts for your troubles. That's a great decision. Mm-hmm. If you draft Caleb Williams and he's as good as most people think he's going to be, that's a great decision too. You've got, this is not where they were, at the end of the Nagy era or at the end of the John Fox era when they were between a rock and a hard place. They're actually between a soft place and a soft place. And that's very different for up here.
Patrick, thanks for all your hard work this season. Thanks for your time today. We'll talk again down the road.
Sounds good.